So we just want to break it down to, look, we're a human being, we've got OCD. What is that? An anxiety disorder. What's that? Probably just a few cells in the brain acting in a certain way at a certain time that we do not know yet why. Okay? We have a rough idea, but not really. We don't even know what consciousness is yet, so we haven't got a great understanding of the brain, and we're going to find out more and more, even when you look at the meds that we use for OCD, which are very helpful for taking the edge off. We don't understand why. If you read about them, they say they don't understand why it has that effect or why it did that. They have a rough idea, but they're not sure. So it's about having a bit of insight into that, looking at those things and seeing that you've got a brain, it's acting in a certain way, just because brains can, like with anything that the brain does. And that's it. There's not much more to it than that. And we add all the rest of the story. Oh, I'm a this. Oh, I'm a that. Oh, did this and I did that. But it's all coming from the brain. The brain's like a kind of chemistry set that's creating all these things and all these sensations and feelings, and we need to become an observer of that. A very mindful lesson. Becoming an observer of thoughts and emotions and realizing we do not need to be a slave to them. But it's tricky when we've got if we have conditional self-acceptance, we're very tied into I'm bad, I'm this, I'm that, if this is da 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 da. So we need to unconditional self-life acceptance, the main principles taught by the founder of CBT, Albert Ellis, provide a very nice framework that fits in well with mindfulness. So you have the combination effect of the two, so you get that nice freeing separation, which I experience today. Not all the time. I get annoyed if you heard me on the phone to, say, an internet provider. I might not look the most rational, I can tell you. And that's because in that moment I've allowed myself to be angry. And if I take a step back and go, why am I letting this person who I don't even know annoy me, then I'd be calmer, and then I'd be rational, which I can do, and I can easily do, but you don't always do it. Sometimes you get carried away and you forget about it. So you're human. You're going to make mistakes. You're not going to be rational with time. You're going to think different things. Things are going to change. Your perspectives are going to change. Your experience with OCD is going to change. Your experience with you is going to change. Everything is changing. And we also live in a world today where, if you go online, there's millions of self-motivation websites and stuff which kind of touch the same subjects that most of them do, and the sort of repackaged versions of the same thing. You don't need to work harder and work 20 hours a day or work out 20 hours a day. You actually need to learn to not fight yourself, not battle yourself, not put yourself down and try and beat yourself into submission. All tactics we have learnt throughout our life. Oh, you've done bad in this exam, you need to try harder, you should really have a strong thing, which then people would think means turning in on themselves and beating themselves up internally, which it doesn't. But we've all learnt and seen other humans go down the same mistake-ridden track and they go down that, and then we get into this cycle all the time of beating ourselves up, self-loathing, self-hate, all these things, where we need to observe and think, well, I'm human, I can make these mistakes, these things can come along, these things can happen, and this is all part of the human experience. This is the journey. This is what is going to happen. You're not reading these books on motivation and self-help to build a perfection. You're doing it to acknowledge you are imperfect and will make these mistakes, and these things will occur and happen. This is the journey. This is what it's about, and this is a large part of what I'm teaching on a daily basis. Learning to see that you do not need to have perfection. You do not need to beat yourself up. You can feel anxiety. You can feel guilt for now, and that is okay. And you are learning to see you do not need to feel guilty, and you do not need to feel anxious. But that is a learning process, a pathway paved by mistakes that form a framework to a more relaxed internal, getting a bit lost with words myself here, sort of giving up an internal resistance, which is a process, giving up an internal treading of water, an internal fight to get out of the current state. In the current state, you will feel the chronic guilt and anxiety because you can't yet experience the release of the internal fighting because you're too scared to give it up. So the brain has learnt to do it. The brain has learnt to do it over and over. The brain has learnt to do it every day. The brain has learnt to do it in your sleep. The brain has learnt to do it in the shower, on the street, wherever you are. It has learned that pattern, and it doesn't know another pattern because it has not yet seen how to break that framework of fear. And that is what we do, breaking that down.